Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcasting to bring you this special bulletin. Five Nights at Freddy's movie has been unleashed on the theaters, onto the unsuspecting public. And, well, a few people have some opinions, including myself. We go over here to Rotten Tomatoes, and apparently the bastion of review metric integrity that Rotten Tomatoes is, we all know that, 26% on the tomato meter from actual critics, but what do the audience have to say? Whopping 89%. So there seems to be, this may come as a shock, but there's a bit of a divide, a gap, oh, screw it. There's a massive gap, as per usual. When movies like this come out, we saw it with the Super Mario Brothers movie. Audiences loved that. Now, I don't think Five Nights at Freddy is going to break those kind of records, but it sure as heck did break some records this opening weekend. And over here on Variety, Five Nights at Freddy box office, all the records shattered as an opening weekend. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's had a $25 million budget. Market that, well, let's see, we'll add 25 million for double it, so usually 2.5, 1.5, whatever. So between production budget, theatrical cut, theater cut, and what, oh hell, I've already lost track. Ah yes, advertising, my goodness. How's everybody doing tonight? You're probably looking at about $60 to $75 million in order for it to just start breaking even. Now, how did it do? Thursday and Friday. Domestic, it almost hit $40 million. But the weekend is just about over, and it would appear Five Nights at Freddy's Universal and Blumhouse's terrifying adaptation of the popular video game made a killing at the okay, some of these puns are fantastic. I genuinely, I love it. Made a killing at the box office debut with 78 million domestic with $130 million global opening weekend. This almost guarantees a sequel. Maybe they can start putting in some of the lore. So, this is pretty good. Now, I wonder, word of mouth. What is word of mouth going to do for this movie? I think it could carry it. We got the weekend before Halloween. Everybody wants to see a scary movie. Now there is a popularity of Five Nights at Freddy's for those who are familiar with the game, the rather extensive library of games. And well, I think word of mouth will either make or break it. I think it's going to make more. My thoughts on the movie, I guess a little spoiler-free review for sure. But let's see what else to argue. I'll get to it at the end of the video. $20 million, it's $25 million budget. Variety. A horror film that landed simultaneously on streaming. And now that is definitely a weird one. So you can either go to the theaters to watch this or watch it on Peacock. You don't have to leave. You don't have to pay for a theater seat. And yet it's still open to $130 million worldwide. That's insane to me, because you have all these other movies that did the same day and date, theatrical release as well as on streaming services, and those movies did not make half of this opening box office weekend. Makes you wonder, were people genuinely interested to see Five Nights at Freddy's? More so than they were interested in seeing, I don't know, what was it, Black Widow? Makes you wonder. See, we got a quote here. Let's see. Quote, every studio should be taking note. This can be a game changer and another clear blueprint for event-level horror films and game adaptations, says Sean Robbins, chief analyst of Box Office Pro, pointing to the communal appeal of horror films. Five Nights at Freddy's has become a cult classic over the past decade with a young and passionate fan base that represents an important segment of the up-and-coming generation of moviegoers. That's pretty good. Start making movies that, I don't know, respect the source material. I'll get to that in a second. Josh Hutcherson goes on there. Let's see, it's so fun to work with. So what is the movie? For those who do not know, Five Nights at Freddy's is a horror take on, we'll go with Chuck E. Cheese. I grew up with Showbiz Pizza, but they're pretty much the same. Chuck E. Cheese came in and kind of took over. They bought out Showbiz Pizza, but they're both the same thing. It's a pizza place for kids to go in with animatronics that play in a band and sing music. Well, Five Nights at Freddy's is the horror version of that, where Freddy Fazbear's Pizza went into disarray due to some deaths at the pizzeria. It went under investigation, closed down for a bunch of controversy. There's way, way more to the lore than I'll get into. And as far as spoiler-free reviews, I can definitely recommend this movie. I thought it was fun, and there's not a lot of gore. It's not one jump scare after another. It does have a few moments that are mood setting for a horror movie. I think it's okay for kids. There's no F-bombs in the movie. And I think there's one or two dropping ass. That came out wrong. People saying ass. Oops. As far as following the source material, sticking strictly to the lore, no, this movie, from my understanding, talking to my little tiny clones, my kilted clones, it did not follow the lore beat for beat. There are references, there are characters, there are little Easter eggs throughout the movie, as well as YouTubers that played in the movie. And while it does not follow the story beat for beat, it does what I would consider, it respects the source material. It stays a little open-ended. It ends in a way that this can be it, one and done. But because of the lore, because of everything that happens in the source material over multiple games, it can easily be revived for multiple sequels if done right. Keep the budget low, follow the story beats, go into either the backstory, the sister locations, the brother locations, whatever. And yes, this could be a successful horror franchise, making Blumhouse quite a bit of money. There is obviously murder in this movie. So, but I don't think it's too much for a 9 or 10-year-old. My youngest is 8. He watched it twice opening day and absolutely loved it. Loved every bit of it. It did not scare him, but he might be a little weird. So take care. I wouldn't recommend this 7 and below. I wouldn't recommend this to children that aren't familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. But yes, ages 10 and up, parents, I think it's okay to take your children to see this movie. Don't shoot the messenger. It's just my opinion. If you're overly concerned about it, it's on Peacock. Check it out for yourself. See if it's appropriate. I would definitely recommend this movie. There are spots where it's kind of slow, some parts where it doesn't make sense. Twist my arm, give it a score, 6 or a 7. It's nothing to write home about. It's a decent movie. It's fun. It has some suspense, and it respects the source material. That's what we're looking for in adaptations like this. It's not preachy. It's not ideological. It's not quote-unquote woke. I'm not about that, but I speak for myself. But I've dragged on long enough. How much do you think this movie's going to end up making? Even with the day and date, $130 million globally, easily made its money back and then some. A sequel should be greenlit in no time. I look forward to see where the franchise is going. Have you seen the movie? Are you going to see the movie? Did I sway you in any way to go see this movie? I don't know how. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. I hope to see you on the next one. Have a good one.